So, January 19th, 2025 is going to be, in my opinion, the last great test of American freedom with the upcoming possible TikTok ban here in the United States. We've had apps that have shut down and gone out of business before. This is not something new. And most of the time, those apps, when they close, most of the users find other outlets. They go to Meta, they go to Instagram, they go to X, and they find other platforms similar to the one that they were using. But there's a key difference in this ban is that those other apps, when they closed down, that was a corporate decision. What makes this one so unique is that this is a government decision. And because it's coming from the United States government, it raises significant constitutional questions about freedom of speech and government overreach. Now, we've been watching the government overreach play out for decades now. One of the other big events that happened was right after 9/11 when we were introduced to the Patriot Act. And then we had all of these revelations coming from Edward Snowden. The one thing about this ban here in the United States is it draws significant parallels between the censorship that we see in foreign countries, such as China, North Korea, Russia, Iran, places like that. And so to have it happening here, in my opinion, is unprecedented. We here in the United States, we like to think of ourselves as the beacon of freedom, and we are the flag bearers of independence and freedom of speech. But that is being tested at this moment. Now, we've seen the decay of our freedoms and our liberties slowly progressing with each administration that comes in and with each new set of senators and representatives. But now it's on full display for all of us to see. This is the kind of stuff that used to happen in the back rooms where all of the black op deals were made. But now they're doing it out front for the whole entire world to see, and it doesn't seem like they give a shit what the American citizens believe or want. Another unique thing about this TikTok ban is the speed and the rate at which this is happening. It has happened so fast, and there are a lot of creators on that platform that make their living from TikTok. And there's a lot of businesses that are on this platform. And so with this ban coming so quickly, a lot of these creators and business owners on TikTok are only being given a minimum amount of time to make the transition to other apps. And given the fact that over 150 million US citizens use this app on a daily basis, this is incredible. We're talking about over half of the country losing access to their freedom of speech, losing access to the place that they do business as entrepreneurs and content creators. One of the biggest concerns with this TikTok ban is the government's control and access over information. Many of the users on TikTok use that platform as a news source. This is where they get their news now. Many people have turned away from traditional media, newspapers, online newspapers, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, and solely get their news from this app, from the TikTok app. And so many of the users of TikTok are perceiving this ban as an attempt to control the political narratives and what news we are allowed and have access to. And so that's concerning because The TikTok platform has become crucial for political discourse among the US citizens. And then there's the credibility issues that are taking place along with this TikTok ban, because we have many politicians, including people who ran for president and the president-elect himself. We have senators and we have representatives who all use this platform. But yet, here they are making decisions for the rest of the citizens, saying that it's a national security issue. Well, if it's such a goddamn national security issue, why are our politicians and our elected officials using this app on a daily basis during election time? I think this level of political hypocrisy is going to ignite a firestorm amongst the citizens of this country if this ban actually goes into effect. And it's all in the hands of the Supreme Court now, who lately have not had a very good track record, and they are not garnering any support amongst the people of the United States of America with some very questionable decisions that they've made recently. So we have to wonder, if the ban does go through, if they really get rid of this app and cut off access to over 150 million United States citizens, what are the repercussions from that action? It's curious because we don't know if there will be actual civil unrest, if there will be protests in the streets. So quite a few people I've heard are planning on boycotting Facebook and Instagram and Threads. And a lot of other people I've heard say that they will not be using X, formerly known as Twitter. One of the other big issues that's arising with this TikTok ban is the fact that it's also being driven by corporate America. Mark Zuckerberg has invested a lot of money into lobbyists to get this app banned. And so we are continuously seeing the line between corporate America and our government blurred. It's almost non-existent anymore. And so now this leads into more questions of political corruption at the highest level, where one billionaire can lobby and spend millions of dollars lobbying our elected officials to get them to ban an app because it's his competition. This is using the government to wipe out your competitors. So there's that issue that's also taking place and is part of the conversation of this ban that's coming. And there's other questions about a possible TikTok ban. What about the economic impact that this ban will have on content creators and business owners who rely on this app as their source of income? Because let's face it, if this goes away in one day, how much of a sudden loss of revenue that is going to be to a whole lot of people. Like I said earlier, and with such a limited time to build and create a presence on other media platforms, there's no time there to do that. So if you take the issue of freedom of speech being taken away, freedom of information with the news, and then you have the corruption and political hypocrisy of our elected officials using the app while they're simultaneously telling us it's a threat to national security. And then you throw in Mark Zuckerberg and all the money he has spent lobbying against it. So you have the corporation divide. And then if you immediately cut off all of these people's income, this could lead to some huge civil unrest. This is going to be a very trying time in American politics and America's social issues, as our government, along with corporations, trying to cut out our free speech. One of the other damaging things that could come out of this ban, if it in fact goes through, is the international implications. This will set a precedent for other countries to ban apps that they don't like. What happens when a country decides that they no longer want to serve an American-made application in their country. They no longer want it there. They want it banned because America is deemed as a threat to their national security issues. It also sets a dangerous precedent that the government can be used as a tool to eliminate your competition by just citing, without facts, just citing that your business is against the interests of the United States. This sets the precedent to allow companies to lobby Congress to get rid of their competitors based on non-factual information. There is definitely some widespread consequences and unintended consequences that I don't think the American government thought out. They didn't think it all the way through. We're talking about disrupting over half of the country's lives by banning this app, telling half of the country that you no longer have access to freedom of speech, telling more than half of the country that you no longer have a free flow of information and news, telling more than half of the country that you no longer have this opportunity to earn revenue by creating content on this app, by telling half of the country that your small business doesn't matter and we're going to close it down effectively by banning this app. And let's not forget about the long-term effects of these politicians who actually use this app and then voted to ban it. If you couldn't express to the American people how big of a hypocrite you were before that, you definitely have now. The whole world sees your hypocrisy, your lack of a backbone, and it's pretty apparent that the money coming in from these other corporations like Mark Zuckerberg has helped influence your decision. Because if you're willing to use an app, then it cannot be that much of a threat. So in just 2 decades, we have gone from the Patriot Act, which allows surveillance on American citizens with no right to privacy, to now here we are on the verge of banning free speech in America. How far we have fallen.